for the use of natural products in most markets. There are quite a few of them, as you said, at a small scale level. I think this is being done by most of the small scale level, at the small scale level, both in the provinces, Western and Southern province. In Southern province, what we found that the baobab and the ngai and the masuku are very, very prominent. The gap that probably we'll be looking at is the question of investment. How do people invest? What kind of investment are they looking at? And of course, as you had earlier mentioned, the question of data in terms of demand for natural non-timber forest products is a thorn in the flesh for many. But that's not to say that in the absence of that kind of data, one cannot venture into commercialization of this. The demand for natural products is increasing. And one of the drivers of demand is that many people are beginning to transition to getting natural products as compared to the commercial or conventional products for use. For now, I'll end up there. If there are any questions, then I'll pop in again.
Thanks so much for that input, Abraham. I'm hoping, I see Annabelle has joined, and I'm hoping Fraser's on as well, because I do want the team to hear from two people who have taken the leap into commercializing natural products, and from two completely different angles. But before we get there, maybe I do want to just share a few more aspects before I invite Annabelle and Fraser, if he's here, or just Annabelle. I see Fraser's here to share, but let me just tell you about the opportunities that we did find. Sharing my screen again. So, as mentioned, there are diverse products, and we found quite a few, but with anything in this space, it's really, there's no cohesive effort for data collection or consolidating the groups. And actually this webinar is our sort of start to try to consolidate the subsector, who's there, who's doing what, and where are they doing it. But we did find a range of products from, and the pictures here show there's the Canton in Livingston that makes ice cream with natural products, for example, using anything from the maui or the mavi, whatever forest ingredients as flavors for the ice cream. I know some of you may have seen in our supermarkets and advertised across the country that people are now making tamarind or kawasha drinks. Traditionally, we have this fruit and we drink it, but now it's being processed commercially and bottled by several companies, one including Superfoods, Super Valley Foods, who we visited here in Osaka. There's also a range of cosmetics, natural products, using things like hibiscus, goat's milk, honey, of course, charcoal, a range of natural products, again, for cosmetic use. Now, this is external, non-edible. And of course, I'd mentioned before the mongongo oil, used by itself or as input to cosmetic products. And these are all products that are being processed and sold across Zambia, some of them for export. So as I mentioned, we do want to hear from a few people and hear why they decided to get into this space. What is it about commercial products that they saw as useful? We ourselves identified some opportunities at different levels of the supply chain. So it goes from harvesting, primary processing, transportation, production, distribution and aggregation, retail and wholesale. At the harvesting level, this is now in the communities, there may be a need for organized harvesting via cooperatives. As mentioned, this is done mostly at household level or individuals, and there's no systematic approach. Many of the ingredients are seasonal, so they could approach it as with multi-season harvesting. So when baobab is off season, they harvest something else. When it comes in season, they harvest the baobab, and they could incorporate other non-timber forest products in their activities. We found in some areas that villages were harvesting mongongo, but also had beehives in their forest, which helps with natural forest management. and at the site, so before many of these products are not, the value addition is not done in the rural areas, but it's transported, of course, to Lusaka or other urban centers. And there could be an opportunity for initial bulk processing, so dehusking, grading, sorting, and storage of these natural products, as opposed to just putting them in stacks anyhow, but actually doing some initial sort of bulk processing at those sites. Transportation, of course, it's very simple. People just put things on whatever truck or lorry is passing, but there could be a need for specialized transportation for some, and not many. If there is a highly perishable, you may think of cold chain or other type of controlled transportation needs to the production sites. In terms of production, it really depends on the value chain. For oils, there's a need to maybe consider cold pressing the oils, which gives you a higher quality of oil production, fetches a higher price. Using things like natural dyes for the grass and baskets, or even processing the natural dyes at those locations. I mentioned mechanization with an asterisk because for many natural products, adding a component of mechanization or use that may use chemicals or physical things that will break down the natural product will may deteriorate the price. So it depends on what the product is. There's a huge need across, whether it's edible or non-edible, of packaging that's fit for purpose and bulk packaging at a good price. For those in export, we found there's a need for specialized exporting, freight forwarding, documentation. Do you need a phytosanitary license to get this out of the country? And whatever certifications you may need, but it's specialized. Many of the producers are small producers, and then to do that paperwork, we're finding was quite a challenge for them and an additional administrative cost. Now, you also have to decide whether, as a producer, is it retail or wholesale market that you're going for, and the need for those market linkages. For many local producers, developing a market along the line of rail in Zambia was their key approach. So going to the major urban centers and making sure their product was available in different supermarket chains or health food chains, etc. But there's also there could be a need, opportunity to tap into developed specialized programs for developing markets that support the export through the International Trade Center, or CBI, which is a Dutch facility. And I'll share some of those details with you after this call. Now it's an opportunity to get to two business perspectives. There's Savannah Bell and Forest Africa. Savannah Bell based in Livingston, and Forest Africa is of course based in Lusaka. Annabelle and Fraser, are you on the call? Are you able to unmute yourselves and introduce yourselves?
I'm on the call, but my internet is very unstable. I have to go first until my...
Yes, please do go first, Annabelle. And just share what...
okay, so did you hear what I said?
Yes, I heard your internet.
Said my internet is very unstable. Can you...
I can hear you. Hi, Annabelle, are you able to go first? Okay. What we may do is, Fraser, are you there? Maybe Fraser goes first, and I'll see if I can get Annabelle to join later. Fraser?
Hello, I'm here.
Thank you. Can you just introduce yourself and explain what Forest Africa does?
All right, thank you so much, Likumbi, for the opportunity. And it's really great to be part of this webinar to discuss valorization of our natural resources, particularly forest products. So my name is Fraser Handondo. I'm the director for Forest Africa Zambia Limited. We are a Zambian SME that are specialized in processing wild fruit juices. We're also processing oil, and I think some of the products that we are doing, for instance, from the baobab fruit shells, we are processing charcoal briquettes, as well. So just to contribute to the conversation, we did carry out a research, and we discovered that wild fruit products have really been excluded from the commercial mainstream. Particularly, you don't find them in packaged, in supermarkets as extensively as you would find for farmed products. Like, for instance, in the beverage industry, you'd find juices from farm products or fruits such as oranges, apples, and so on. But then you find that these in certain instances they're actually not organic, and so people have now moved to what they believe is very beneficial and healthy for them. And these are products that then you find in the forest, which have been growing naturally. And so what Forest Africa did was to try and bridge the gap, begin to make these wild fruits accessible in a processed form for easy consumption. You will agree with me that it actually does help run a very solid value chain, in the sense that we are working with rural communities, to be able to earn some income from the activities. And I think we feel that there's maximum impact in this because, these are not farmed. They're actually just natural in the forest. And so what that does is that our mothers, our youths at village level, they do not need any income whatsoever to grow them. I think all they need is their appetite to go into the forest and gather them. So you find that during lean times of the year, they're able then to earn an income out of that. And then, of course, we've created employment along the value chain, coming to our processing factories and so on, where we now have workers processing these into various finished products. And of course, we are now meeting the requirements of the consumers out there who are demanding natural organic foods, to supplement their dietary requirements. So this is what Forest Africa is generally doing. And what we've done is we've identified fruits so far, that we can work on, which include the baobab fruit or the mabuyu. We are now making a mabuyu juice, which we are distributing to various outlets, and of course we are making the ngai juice, which is also have been, widely accepted. And of course, from the baobab, operating on a zero waste, kind of philosophy, we do have a situation where we are processing all the parts of the fruit sustainably, to be able to, have as many products as we can. So this, I think, shows that there is a scope, there is opportunity, in the non-timber forest products area that, perhaps has been, not fully commercialized. And this is what we intend to see happen as Forest Africa. And so we are happy to participate in this kind of conversations. Thank you so much, Likumbi.
Thanks for that, Fraser. I maybe just have two quick questions before Annabelle joins. And I know you've been doing this for, I think, just over a year, but what surprised you about your business when you went in that you weren't expecting? And what are the key things that frustrate you on an ongoing basis? And I may know some of the answers to this, but it's worth sharing with the other group, with the others on the call.
Well, you see, it's been, great to actually see that the Zambian people can receive these products wholeheartedly. We had started, for instance, with just supplying powder, for instance, the mabuyu powder, but then when you decide to add value to it, people would actually say, look, we used to do this in the villages, but now, it's here in the supermarkets for us to access. So what is exciting now is that we are able to, make these products available on the go to the consumers out there. And what is exciting there is that people, for instance, on the ngai drink, people say, look, it's been years since I've eaten this fruit, but now I've found it in the supermarket in form of a drink and so on. People get excited with, that kind of innovation. So people do receive this and they want to actually see or rather consume these fruits in a different form. What is still maintaining the taste, the aroma, of that fruit. People do actually accept this, which is, quite pleasing. But what we've also seen is that, these are seasonal fruits, right? And of course, for you to keep constant supply, of the product to the market is quite a challenge. It does require, or rather it's quite capital intensive for you to be able to meet this, because I keep joking, with colleagues that, for you to be able to stock up, these fruits to last the entire year, it's like you walk into ShopRite and say you are buying food for the whole year in one day. So you find that it does have a toll on your, on your capital profile, in terms of required finances and so on. So that is what, is one of the major issues, is to maintain supply throughout the year for seasonal products. Particularly for us SMEs, is quite a complex issue there. And, of course, there is competition. We are competing with conventional products that people are also used to, and to find that, the pricing, of those products might be cheaper, for instance, compared to what we are producing. And people sometimes would really, follow what they feel is feasible for their pockets. So those are some of the issues that we've seen as challenges, as Forest Africa so far.
Thanks for that, Fraser. I just want to give a chance to Annabelle, if she's still on, in case her internet drops again. Annabelle, are you on?
I am. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm sorry about my internet being so unstable.
Hi, Annabelle. Could you just
Can you hear me?
Yes, I could hear you. Could you just introduce Savannah Bell and what you do?
Okay, hello everyone. I am based in the Zambezi Valley outside Livingstone. I came to Zambia 9 years ago and moved into a little place, a very small little place in the middle of a Kalahari woodland. And working with the Zambians who work, my husband is a farmer, and working with the Zambians who worked on the farm, they started educating me about those fruits and nuts that can be, but I'm also an organic gardener and I'm also a writer. So I started experimenting with the wild fruits and nuts and started blogging about it in 2014. And as a result of that, I opened the Elephant Cafe using only hyperlocal products, primarily from, certainly hyperlocal in the context of fresh ingredients. And within a very short time, the restaurant won awards. And then I decided to go on my own and create a range of products, connected high-end products, though. These are primarily how I first saw this, was opening a food experience and then having these products as gifts to hand out. But to customers and foreigners and tourists, we're in an area which is very tourist oriented. But and then the Savannah Bell Bush Gourmet was born also as a result of my wanting to work with the community to show them how to reimagine to harvest don't cost anything, especially if they're wild, or to use their heritage grains and beans and like sorghum and millet and all your beautiful rices, all of these things are unique. And I'm talking as a chef now. And so I wanted to, one, create a food experience to showcase the absolute extraordinary nature of the diversity here in Zambia. And I wanted to also then create a range of products that could complement the food experience. But primarily, I wanted to try to help uplift the communities in the villages living near our farm. And I created a women's collective. Primarily, it's run by a single mother on our farm. And so she does all my procuring for me. So if I need 100 kgs of mongongo nuts, she will organize, she'll organize the foragers to go out, and of course they get paid for that. Likewise with muchinga chinga, it's a fruit I use, the monkey fingers, northern dwaba berry. I use extensively in jellies or drinks. I've now got a license to create alcohol using wild fruits and traditional distilling methods. And so it's just basically taking what I have around me, literally what I have around me, and turning that either into a product or into a dish that showcases the wonderful diversity in Southern Province in Zambia. I do use mongo rice and konde rice, and all from different regions of Zambia. I am so willing to collaborate with others who are doing this sort of thing, simply because I think we're on something here which could really create a wonderful local market, and at the same time protect our forests. What has happened in our area, I've been doing.
Hi, Annabelle, are you still there? Hi, Annabelle. We lost her. She's got very poor internet connection. But one of our points for having both Annabelle and Fraser, and there's a variety, and other people on the call I've seen doing different things. There's a variety of what can be done with our natural ingredients. And what I wanted to share was just the range from, and some of it is, as Fraser said, a bit nostalgic or going into our traditional roots. And there's a strong linkage to this indigenous knowledge aspect. And I know there's some of you already working in that space, but it can also be, as Annabelle showed, an experience that can be innovative. You never think of having bush gourmet with the ingredients that she mentioned. And that sort of experience that Annabelle has created is very closely linked to tourism, but there could also be huge commercial opportunities in terms of creating niche or luxury food products from our natural ingredients. So related to this, and I know there's many different businesses on this call, many different experiences of transforming or processing these natural ingredients. And I wanted to open the floor to your inputs, your questions, for Fraser or Annabelle, if she's able to, or for myself, or even Abraham, who carried out the brief assessment of the natural products in Western and Southern Province. If you're able to, this is the chance, you can either type your questions in the chat or your comments, or raise your hand if you're able to, if you know how to do that on Zoom, and I'll take your comments. Open the floor. See one? from Musonda. I actually, and she has opened herself, Musonda from Nahumu Trust. Or contribution, go ahead, Agatha. Are you able to unmute yourself? Sorry, can you just say that again? Go ahead, Naluki. Hello, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I'm Naluki Matakala from Forest Zambia.
Yes.
We are an organization that is into forest restoration and conservation, and in our works, we work with farmers to restore more Miyombo woodlots on their farms. So one of the things that we've been mapping out and trying to see how best we can get into is really tapping into this opportunity for non-timber forest products for our farmers to be able to really see the value of protecting the forest that they have. Because all they have been getting really from the program has been the hives that we give to them as an incentive for them to be on the program. But then when it comes to the non-timber forest products, other than the mushrooms also that they have been collecting from they haven't seen or been able to appreciate the value that comes from it. And the program, a value chain that is well explained that they can really get into as suppliers of these products that they have would really, really be key. Prosper.
Which areas do you work again? Can you just share that?
We are on the Copper Belt. On the Copper Belt, we are in Luansha, Bongwe, and Masaiti. And then in Muchinga, we are in Labushmanda in Mafinga.
Okay, near the game.
Yes. So I just want to understand how best we can work with the people that are already producing, especially with the juices and everything else that I have heard in terms of the supply side of things. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And please just drop the name of your organization in the chat if you're able to. I see that Annabelle has joined again. Annabelle, did you want to add to what you were saying before you dropped off?
Sorry about it, everybody. All I wanted to say, in addition to what I was saying, was that it is what we have done here in the last 9 years is we've created an economy out of the forest. And so people realize that rather than cutting down the trees, that they have got value and are, as a result, even within the local context, people are using forest fruits and nuts much more than they were before. I have created a community project as well, where we're through fundraising, we're putting in boreholes so that people, and solar panels and irrigation, so people can grow gardens, grow the sorghum, grow the rice, grow the sorghum, grow the millet, and as well things like sindambi, the wild hibiscus, which is an incredible. The calyxes is what I use. Generally, the Zambian people eat the leaves, and I use the calyxes to turn them into syrups and into flowers for decorations on my food. And again, such a wonderful resource, where what happens in particular with the sindambi is the villagers I'll buy the calyxes from the villagers, we remove the seeds, and then we hand them straight back again for the following season. But at the same time, they get paid for the calyxes that they've brought to me. So there is a real win-win there. And yeah, so it's just, the only other thing what I wanted to say was, I have created a completely self-sustaining model of how to utilize not only the bush fruits and nuts, but also the heritage grains and beans and rice, etc. And then, of course, the local producers, the fish, the meat, the cheeses, the what have you, everything is from within Livingstone itself. Nothing, I mean, the 99.9% is from within Livingstone. And it would be so great if other lodges and tourist facilities could create similar models, because it doesn't take a huge amount other than to just start working with the communities around their properties, and in particular the high-end lodges that have, I've consulted to many in the Luangwa and in Lua Plains and even beyond the Zambian borders, and it's just trying to get, if we can get models created, which could emulate what we do here in other places around Zambia, I think it could really be a value adding forest fruits and nuts.
I agree completely. I know you're quite passionate about this, and then we are as well at Prospero, and having those linkages, especially with the communities in and around tourist spaces, because there is this, I know many of you have seen current debates about what communities gain from tourism, and this is a natural or low-hanging fruit and contributes to the preservation of the, of the landscapes. I just want to get to a few questions. I see the hands are heating up. Julius and then Miriam, followed by Angelica. Julius, are you able to unmute yourself?
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, very clear.
All right, thank you. Well, my name is Julius, and I'm the founder of a company that is dealing in forest-based foods called Pesa Foods. I've even posted the link in the chat. So currently we are focusing on two major products. We are among a few players in the ecosystem that are dealing or trading in legal game meat. So maybe some of you at some point have had experience where someone brings bushmeat to you and it is a briefcase or a bag or whatever. So there are risks that are involved in that. And as a company, as Pesa Foods, so we are providing an alternative to legal, to game meat or an alternative to bushmeat. So ours is game meat. So that's what we trade in. And then apart from that, we also trade in Vinkubala, the Mopani worms. We do trade in that. So we do basic processing of that, just the branding, the packaging and everything. And my question is, as Prospero, because this is me coming to the conversation for the first time. My question is, do you have information or provide opportunities such as connecting ourselves, companies such as Pesa Foods, which is based in Lusaka, with our partners on the ground, maybe who are then could be labeled as a reliable source of what we need in the cities? Maybe maybe there's a scheme where there's a group of people who then provide this source to us in the city. Let's say maybe you tell me you'll be getting Vinkubala from this community group. We have that kind of an arrangement. And then in return, also, do you help to find market for forest-based foods, even here in Lusaka, like the way, for example, ZDA they have shelf spaces in certain chain stores?
Thanks for that, Julius. I'll come back and answer your question. I've noted it, but I just want to allow the others to ask their questions before we run out of too much time. Miriam, did you have a question? If not, I'll go to Angelica.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Likumbi, for inviting me. It's very, very exciting for me. My name is Angelica. I'm a founder of Angelica Natural Skincare. Can you get me?
Loud and clear, please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm into natural skincare. And I'm only using the local oils like baobab and marula and pumpkin seed. And it's very exciting for me because of sourcing. Sourcing has been one of my challenges because all these goods are found in different parts of Zambia. So this platform, for me, I think it would be a connection or connectivity, so that like if Mr. Fraser Handondo, who is making juices, he can provide seed for me, because I get oil from the seed. And I also get what we call like active ingredients, like from the Sindambi. And I don't know where to find these things. So I'm always in the market looking for the women selling this. So if I have people like Annabelle to connect with, they are growing it, and they already have like a market to me. So it's very exciting what you are doing. And I think we can make a very good industry networking among us. Let's do this. Thank you. And another thing is, please, can you also maybe give us contact emails so that we start interacting with each other, like who we can work with. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you so much for that, Angelica, and your contribution. I just want to allow, before I respond about the sourcing, there's several actually ideas we have around this, and also related to Julius's question. Maybe I'll allow Abraham to have a comment, and then I'll respond to the specific Prospero questions. Abraham, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, thanks so much, Likum. It's very exciting. This discussion that we're having is a very exciting one, and I hope we can take it up, all of us in this community. I just wanted to say something about what Annabelle mentioned about Sindambi, and I'll touch on some other issues about market linkages. I'm not sure if people know that Sindambi is very good for flu. When we talked about some natural, some of the benefits. A few months ago, about I think September, October, there's a lady here in Namfumu who was talking about I couldn't get her. They had an exhibition, and I bought some of that Sindambi. And one of my colleagues, like in December, he had the flu. I went with him there, and he drank that Sindambi, the hot Sindambi in the evening, and he said he felt much better. He slept very well without any stuffy nose. As I'm speaking now, I've had the flu for the last 3 days, and last night I took 2 big mugs of Sindambi, hot Sindambi, and I slept like a baby. So these are some of the benefits you're marketing these products, that you should be telling the customers what the impact is on our health, rather than going to get a cough mixture. I mean, I have cough mixture which I bought from the drugstore, but I tell you that Sindambi was far much better than the Benylin for flu that I've been taking, which has not been working. Then secondly, talking about the market, probably, and just a suggestion, under the auspices of Prospero Zambia, maybe we could have an exhibition for foods and natural foods and things like that, so that at that time, like Angelica said, will be an opportunity for networking and discovering who can do what and what. That would be very exciting to open up a lot of doors. I think it has been done before, and I think we need to do it on a more grand scale. Thank you.
Thanks, Abraham. And I noted that Musonda is here, and she has also noted her audio is poor. I've put the link for her Facebook page for Namfumu Conservation Trust in the chat, but it's also something we can share in an email after this. So just to address some of the questions that were asked, Julius asked about whether Prospero does connections or linkages to, let's say, primary producers in the rural areas and processors in urban areas or in town. This is actually something we're working on in conjunction with our other tourism work supporting the tourism sector. So in and around protected areas and GMAs, where most of these natural products or inputs are found, you do find these communities sourcing, and we would want to link them. I've noted also Naluki has put that WeForest does the same, and I would also like to speak to you, Naluki, and see how we can partner on that of connecting processors and producers with these products. As Abraham mentioned, and even Fraser did, these are seasonal products. So there is some sort of organization or coordination needed to make sure there's enough supply. I have seen Fraser's storeroom of baobab, but I know even that is not enough from floor to ceiling of baobab. So there's actually a commercial opportunity in there for aggregators or initial processors to have those things in bulk for the final processors, those who are making cosmetics or food or drinks, like Julius is. In terms of connecting then to the market, Prospera does do some market linkage work. We have had some success, particularly when talking about non-timber forest products, in supporting basket weavers in and around Choma, working with Choma Museum, access export markets. But it is also something we could, tackle, whether it's technical support, or we could look into tackling it with technical support once our funding cycles open, and I can share more about how that works. But what we're trying to do, and I think many of you have noted, you're all working in your separate space. You didn't know this person was doing this or sourcing that. And as Angelica noted, there's even connections between those processing the baobab and maybe connecting the seeds for oil. And we'd really like to see this subsector collaborate and grow and address the challenges collectively. In the group, there was one question that I don't recall who asked it about: if this market grows, then what do we do? Because the demand will overrun the supply, was the concern, I think one of the person raised. There's some work that can be done for not all the ingredients, but for some, considering plantations, for example, could be an opportunity. In other markets, I think, if I may share this with you, primary producers have been supported, for example, building baobab plantations, supporting the growth of shea, to make shea butter. There is a small outfit in Western Province, for example, that was trying to grow sisal for baskets at a commercial level. So those are things that we can consider. Or could be looked into, but there has to be the commercial linkage. There has to be these SMEs at the end that will then offtake this production from these plantations. And we're not quite at that tipping point yet, but we can look at other markets that have done this before us and see if we can provide that, or do a feasibility study about whether it's possible in and around Zambia. So I think there's many opportunities. Billy Banda has said in Fue, there are many. We're harvesting human-wildlife conflict-free crops such as turmeric, chili, and lemongrass. We need help with processing. And that's another one. There's actually an opportunity for even spices. I know that some of the people producing cosmetics on this call use turmeric as one of their inputs. So there's quite a bit that we can do and link this commercial aspect to conservation. Billy, did you want to add?
Yes, please. I may add something. Since here we have a lot of conflict done by elephants, so we are trying to bring these alternative crops to reduce conflict. But the only challenge we have is where to sell those products. For example, if we have turmeric, which the local farmers are farming, after harvesting, we don't have access to markets around Zambia. I don't know how we can be helped here on that one.
Well, thanks for that, Billy. And I am familiar with the work that you're doing, and maybe with some of our other partners. It's something we're working on. I think part of this call is trying to identify those gaps and opportunities for collaboration. And I'm just excited that so many of you were able to join and share your comments and contributions. In fact, to help us gather your comments better, and I know I see so many hands, but I don't want to keep everybody here. Agatha, is that a new hand? I just will maybe allow you one more.
Yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I have really enjoyed it, and it's quite fulfilling to finally get here and have people come out to share knowledge on indigenous foods and what they are doing in their respective fields. My name is Agatha. I am specialized in marketing, market linkages. We work a lot with emerging businesses, and we also focus on creating or establishing markets for local processors. And this year, I had an opportunity to engage with various international companies, especially those that are into manufacturing of raw materials like food ingredients and other additives. And I can just encourage you and just tell you that those who are into processing foods like baobab powder, baobab juice, mungongo oil, the demand for organic and local wild fruits is there. And we just really need to strengthen collaborations and see how we can work with communities, especially women who gather these fruits. See how we can strengthen collaborations and just create linkages. Otherwise, the demand for such powders, fruits, and oils is there. So Prospero, I just want to applaud you for really coming up with such interactive platforms. We really need to now strengthen our collaboration and see how we can engage even after this interaction.
Thank you for that, Agatha. It's almost leading to my next steps. But maybe, and is that an extra hand, a new hand from WeForest? No?
Oh, no, sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you. So I'm going to, Abraham's just commenting on what happens when the business grows. And as he puts that in the comments, maybe I'll go and share what our next steps is. This was just an initial engagement, and I'm really excited about the energy and all the different questions and comments that people have been posting on this call. But it begs to, you must be wondering, what's next? This has been interesting. And so I want to share what we think is next. So our reflections is there's need for knowledge and access to markets. Many people have addressed that, and maybe not even just access to market, but access to the ingredients from the source. Of course, access to finance in any business is key, and that has also come out in this call, especially for scaling or getting enough inputs for the season. As much of what we deal with, a lot of what we deal with is seasonal, but some of it is not, like the turmeric can be grown or the lemongrass, etc. Of course, there's a need for support services like packaging, logistics, etc. And even maybe some technical support. I mean, it was touched on, or research and development, it was touched on by Abraham. We know some of these things are, have got health benefits or are good for fortified feed in the terms of some of the other, for example, moringa, which I know a lot of people use, for example, in their chicken feed or water. But it can be, if this can be backed up with research that is of value to the market, that then increases the price of the final products, that would be useful. But very few businesses can invest in that type of research and development. And so it's something that we need to take a sector approach to. It's not a one business cost, it's a sector approach. So our next steps is right after this call, for every single person who signed up, you signed up with your email. So I will send a short 2-minute survey, just trying to find out more about your business or your plans to go into business. Some of you, it might be a hobby at this point, and what you're trying to do and where you're working from or where you're sourcing your items. But there'll also be a question in there on whether you want it to be added to a database of contacts, and so that Prospero can let you know when we have new activities or engagements coming up. But also there'll be a question that says, do you want to share your contacts with others? And then we'll share your email address with only the people in this call. And it's just your email and what you're doing. So if you're in cosmetics or you're in food processing, it'll just be those details, but it's optional. There'll be a question asking whether you want to share those details. I really hope that this group will become a sort of, not necessarily a formal group, but a group of collaborators and just forming some sort of platform around this subsector. As I mentioned, many of you are working one-one. You didn't know that this one was doing this or doing that. and there could be great opportunity to collaborate in this space and just create a pressure point or a advocacy group around this space. I thank you so much to all of you for attending this webinar, and it was really exciting to hear everything that you're doing and your comments around this space. And I hope that you all will be able to engage further in the year. And on that note, thank you all. I'll share the recording with you. Have a great day. Thank you.